Hello and welcome to the Evolve Paperless Now webinar series. Today's presentation will be hosted by Evolve alongside with the City of Markham, Ontario. We'll begin the session 4 minutes past the hour to allow people to log in and get set up. Thanks for joining today. For the folks that just joined, we will begin approximately 4 minutes past the hour. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll get started soon. Hello everyone, we'll get started in approximately 1 minute. Thanks everyone for joining. Good morning everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our session today. My name is Paul Goslin and I'm with Evolve Software. We're excited to share with you an overview of our Paperless Now solution that will allow cities to be paperless with plan review in about 4 weeks. Before we share more on our solution, we are fortunate to have Stephanie DeCurna from the City of Markham, Ontario joining with us today. Stephanie is going to share with us how the decision to go paperless has had a significant impact in many ways on their city, not to mention maintaining business as usual through these trying times. Stephanie is going to discuss how the City of Markham's EPLAN Foundation has set them up for success as the entire city moves to a new virtual environment. Before we get into Stephanie's great presentation, I wanted to let you know that as we present, you are more than welcome to ask any questions through our chat. Chris Prather, who's a solution consultant with Evolve, will be monitoring the chat for any questions. He will either answer them in real time through the chat, or he will wait till the end of the presentation to the Q&A part and bring them up for you. To set the stage, we're going to be very respectful of everyone's time and keep our agenda to 30 minutes. I will start with a brief background on Evolve, and then we will get into Stephanie's great presentation on how Markham went paperless. At Evolve, the primary focus of our business has been to remove the last major paper processes within jurisdictions. We have successfully worked within the building and planning departments to improve the applicant experience and to streamline the paper processes that have been around jurisdictions for over 50+ years. Our technology sets the foundation for electronic plan review in an effort to provide online transparency with the community, provide internal collaboration within your various departments, and to accelerate the permitting process. More importantly, our technology is allowing building departments to work virtually so that the city can continue to build and drive permitting revenue in these unspoken times. We have been working with jurisdictions for over 15 years and currently support over 150 plus municipalities in the US and Canada. With the recent events surrounding COVID-19, we have all been challenged with change. It started with small travel restrictions, moved to social distancing, found that we've had shortages of paper products, and then we are hit with mandatory working from home. Everywhere we turn, there has been an impact. If closing your building department due to the current shelter-in-place mandate is not an option, and you are struggling with maintaining and trying to keep a safe on-site working environment, meeting with applicants in the parking lot to receive paper plans, having to then quarantine those plans for several days, or have seen a severe slowdown in the processing time based on the reasons above, we believe this next 30 minutes will be of interest to you. Right now, I'm excited to turn the floor over to Stephanie from the City of Markham. Stephanie and her team have taken the City of Markham from a very manual-based paper process to a streamlined online city over the course of the last several years. Stephanie will now share how enabling their EPLAN Foundation has allowed the city to adapt today's COVID-19 environment. Stephanie, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. Just share my screen with everyone. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for having me. I'll just quickly set where the City of Markham is located. So the City of Markham is in the southern tip of the province of Ontario. We're about 30 kilometers from the City of Toronto and about 160 kilometers from Niagara Falls and the border to the United States. Our population is about 330,000 people. We have a population density of 1549 per square meter. The Building Standards Department has a staff complement of 50 people. That includes management and union staff. And we issue on average about 3,000 building permits a year. So we started our EPLAN journey some time ago. Back in 2009, we did a customer survey to see if our customers were interested in doing online and paperless submissions. So the response came back with 82% positive. So we started our project with that. In 2011, internally within the department, we did a full process review where we took all the process associated with the different types of permits we issued and we streamlined everything. So on average, all the permits issued follow the same process. In 2013, to support our business case, we hired a consultant to do a needs assessment. The needs assessment was done for both the building department and for the development review process in the planning department. The results of the assessment formed the basis of our tender documents to go forward. Some of the key elements in that assessment were, well, the elements that we're trying to solve using EPLAN. There was no transparency in the building department or the planning review processes with the public. So once an application was filed, nobody knew on their end where the file was in the system. The processes associated with the planning and development approval process were complex. Having a paper-based review was time-consuming and added no value to the service that we provide. There was a high volume of walk-in traffic, and this led to high wait times and frustration with staff and customers. And the paper-based multiple reviews, there was a greater potential for error and omissions with multiple copies. So with that assessment, we got council approval in 2015 and started the integration and testing right after that. In 2018, the building department launched the service live as an optional use. And during 2018, we had a lot of great success with it. In 2019, we pulled the plug on paper and made EPLAN the mandatory service delivery option for the department. So the EPLAN solution is what we called it EPLAN. It's fully integrated with our existing permitting system, our payment processor, and our GIS system. The paperless end-to-end automation was split into phases for development and implementation. The building permit phase A was live in 2018. Phase B and C just went live, and phase D is currently with staff for training. So the building permit review process has seen little change, guess since the beginning of time, other than technical code changes. The process always involves the applicant traveling to the city, dropping off multiple copies of paper. We review multiple copies. They'd have to travel back and pick it up with their permit. Making the shift to electronic plans review required changing the mindset of a number of different stakeholders. From our experience, the staff stakeholder was the most important to get on board. So we made sure that management was committed to, displayed a commitment to providing resources to help the project continue. And this gained confidence in staff that we were there to help them through this. We allowed staff to participate in the solution. So this really got them motivated in the project. There was a few things that we let them pick, like the size of the screens. We set up a few different options for them, and they went and used the setup, and then they voted. So popular vote won what screen setup we were getting. And this, it really helps build value in the project. So after first year of mandatory, we had some notable key performance indicators. We were able to place them into 3 main buckets. So we saw a lot of impact environmentally based on travel to and from the city and the paper savings going electronic. Our second bucket was review cycle and technical impact. And then our first bucket, for the very first time, we're able to track the performance of our applicants. So the first part of environmental results is the travel time saved by applicants in the application process. So what we did is we used the postal code of all our applicants in 2019, and we assumed a minimum of 2 trips to and from the Civic Center. With that, applicants saved just over 80,000 kilometers in travel. That's equivalent to 2 round trips around the world. It's also equal to 2.7 cars on the road for a year with greenhouse gases. The second part of environmental is the environmental impacts of creating paper and the distribution of paper. So in 2019, there was over 160,000 sheets of paper uploaded to EPLAN for review. That's equivalent to 19.2 average size caliber trees. And the processing of that paper is equal to running 24.3 fridges and 12.4 washing machines for a year. So the environmental impact is significant. So our technical reviews, this is why we're in the business, is it's easier to track using EPLAN. So staff implemented over 11,000 deficiencies in EPLAN. We were able to take all those deficiencies that were noted and split them up by building code section. So in Ontario, those are our building code sections there. So we were able to see where staff and where applicants are deficient in their drawings. So part 3 and part 9 are 2 big sections, and they usually get that wrong. We're also able to track the number of review cycles. So our review cycles before were all across the board. With EPLAN, most of the permit types, they drop down to 2 review cycles each. And applicant performance. So we're able to track how many days the applicant has the file in their court. You know, so before we could never track this. So on average, the applicant is responsible for 20 business days with the file being in their court. So what we'd like to do in the future is drop those times down. So now we're in present day with the COVID-19 situation. So on Friday, March 13th, we made a decision, the corporation made a decision that all staff had to work remotely effective the following Monday. So that afternoon, we provided some training to staff on how to log in remotely, how to get their email access, how to access our permitting system software, anything that they would need. And we also provided staff with the option to sign out their large monitor and bring it home with them to assist in plan review. So that was on Friday the 13th. And on Monday, March 16th, the Civic Center was formally closed to the public. Our business continuity plan was set in effect to maintain all essential and legislated departmental services. And we had 31 full-time union staff set up, and they were ready to work Monday morning. So the transition to the remote workforce was very smooth, and we essentially had zero downtime. I have a few graphs here showing, so our reporting structure during this time, we're still working remotely. I think that's going to happen at least for another month here. So our reporting structure will happen weekly. And the blue line in the graph represents an average day in 2019. And these are, permit applications, permit issuance, all the tasks we have in EPLAN, those are average numbers in 2019. So the very first week of working remotely, in some cases, we exceeded our average in 2019, and there was no disruption to any of these services. Going through the weeks, it follows relatively the same pattern. Our permit applications are actually increasing. I think just because people, architects and engineers' offices are also working remotely, so they take the option of applying for building permit because construction has also shut down. So we're able to accommodate this increase essentially because we've set up this electronic environment. So just to sum it up, since March 16th, we've accepted 200 permit applications. We've issued 120. We've completed close to 2,000 administration tasks in EPLAN environment, and we've accepted over 400 online payments for building permits. So a few lessons that I've learned, I'm sure there'll be more in these next coming weeks, is that all staff should be equipped with laptops. We did not make that decision. We have half our staff with laptops and half with desktops. It doesn't work. The ergonomics of the homework environment differs for everybody, and so does the speed and availability of the home internet service. So that affects what you're doing. You should have a homework policy in place. We did not have one, so we had to create one very quickly. And believe it or not, some staff do not like working from home. They miss talking to people and so forth. So there really needs to be a support structure in place to help staff through that. And I think that is all I have. I'll flip this back over to Paul.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. That was a great presentation, and we appreciate you sharing with us Markham's journey from paper to paperless. As I flip through these slides, I mean, one of the things that really stood out to me was that you had zero downtime, that you went from a Friday to a Monday, and that's a feather in not only your cap, but the rest of Markham's infrastructure team for setting the foundation of EPLAN years ago. Some other key takeaways we had that I had around Markham's presentation is, the first point is I just touched on it. Really, by having that foundation, they were able to adapt quickly and change based on the environment. I'm confident that when they first started this journey, pandemic, staying at home was probably not in their thought process of why they needed EPLAN, but they quickly have been adapted to change. One of the other great takeaways was that, not only has capacity and throughput stayed the same, but it's actually increased, meaning that, the community has taken on the technology and have also adapted to change and has found the ability to do everything online. And then last but not least, and Stephanie touched on a lot of the metrics, but transparency. So not only is Stephanie and her management team able to track what's going on a daily basis around projects, but the applicants are as well. They're able to see where their plan review or where their permit is within the life cycle of the project. So thank you, Stephanie, for that. Before I get to this next slide, just a quick reminder on if you do have a question, feel free to put it in that Q&A button if that's within the. Go ahead, Chris.
Yep. Hi, Paul. So we do have a question from one of our participants, and I think it's directed at Stephanie. How has productivity increased due to working from home? That's part one of a three-part question.
Yeah, so part one, yes, productivity has increased with most staff working from home. I do have a few that do not like working from home, which is understandable. But for the most part, they're completing their tasks quicker than they were in the office.
Part two actually ties with part three. This particular participant is struggling with their finance department and asks, how is it that you receive payment remotely?
Okay, so that was a struggle. Probably one of the reasons why this project took so long was that issue. So we finally got approval to receive payment by credit card up to $60,000. And that was a hard sell. We did have to, the credit card fees that are incurred with that, the building department is responsible to pay. But so if the permit's up to $60,000, they can pay online. Right now, we're not receiving permits, larger permits. But if it was over 60,000, then there is a drop box that's still open at the Civic Center that they just drop their check in. And within about 5 days, it gets credited to their permit.
Very good. And just a reminder, I am monitoring the Q&A as well as the chat areas within our webinar. So feel free to add more questions as we go. Paul, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Stephanie. Stephanie and Markham's journey, it is not unique though. We are seeing the same story play out all over the US and Canada. And we at Evolve have received numerous emails from customers sharing stories like the one you just heard from Stephanie. We've also heard from these customers that neighboring cities are not in such a fortunate situation, having to close the review counters and essentially shut down their business, their building process. As we put our collective 100+ years of experience together at Evolve, we fostered an idea on how we might be able to assist these jurisdictions and get their virtual doors back open for business. A standard EPLAN implementation normally takes several months, like you saw from Stephanie's presentation. And we knew that cities who are struggling in today's environment do not have those months, and they needed to be up and running as soon as possible. For this reason, we streamlined our implementation process to the only critical components of electronic plan review and created PaperlessNOW. PaperlessNOW is a cloud-based solution that we can stand up in 4 weeks. We provide it with a low cost of entry that will help your applicants, building department, and plan reviewers to collaborate on projects so that they continue through the permitting process, all while keeping your city employees and constituents safe at home. We do this by deploying only the tools you need to get up and running quickly. PaperlessNOW may be a streamlined implementation, but we have not sacrificed the power of our technology. This is much more than a markup tool and a file transfer technology. Your jurisdiction will receive our best-in-class building workflow that has been crafted by over 150+ deployments, used by small jurisdictions like Vail, Colorado, all the way up to large jurisdictions like the city of Markham, Los Angeles, California, and Miami, Florida, to name a few. We have a task-based technology that allows your plans examiners to know exactly what they need to work on that day. It also allows for everyone associated with the project to see what's remaining for activity around the project and what departments are still reviewing their tasks. Our solution will provide a centralized repository of all files, markups, collaboration, and revisions around your project. And then last but not least, we offer a streamlined user interface for the applicant to upload and interact with your jurisdiction in a safe way. Our applicant interface was designed so non-technical users can get around and upload into your system. More importantly, our applicant upload process protects your jurisdiction over technologies like Dropbox, where we have virus and malware protection built into our upload process, protecting your city from cyber attacks and viruses. That's a quick look at the foundation of PaperlessNOW. For those that are interested, we will provide you with contact information on how you can get more details in a separate, more specific conversation to your jurisdiction. In these trying times, many of our customers have reached out to us to let us know how Evolve and our technology has helped them keep status quo. Here are several examples, like the city of Markham, where business has not been interrupted and all employees have been able to transition to a remote environment smoothly. We always say, as the famous saying goes, the proof is in the pudding. In reading these slides, a couple of things pop out, but the one from Washington, the state of Washington, a jurisdiction in Washington, the fact that the folks are able to continue to do business as usual and work from home allows that the city will continue being able to pay their employees. That's a win-win on mostly all fronts. A couple other quotes. Throughout this pandemic, Project Docs has been a lifeline throughout the process. And then, like you've seen from all of the various other customer references, the fact that they're able to maintain business as usual has been a pertinent position for these cities. So coming to the end of our presentation, I wanted to make sure that Chris was able to jump back in and answer any questions that we may have from folks that are out there. Chris, do you want to jump back on?
Yeah, excellent. So a couple of questions came in. I have answered them directly, but I wanted to share with the group. The question came in, what PDF markup software is utilized? Our answer to that is we have a viewer technology built into our software that allows not just PDF markup, but markup of over 200 different file types. So you're not limited to PDF within Project Docs. And our markup tool, once again, does support many, many different file types for markup and review. Again, no need to have native software on your local machines. You can accept an AutoCAD as an example and not have AutoCAD on your local machine. I'm keeping an eye out for any additional. A question did come up. The question came up, can we integrate with Amanda? And I wanted to kind of back up, maybe Paul, maybe back up a couple of slides to the PaperlessNOW slide. I want to stress that the PaperlessNOW solution is an immediate deployment. This is something to effectively answer the stay-at-home order, right? Let's get your people up and running and working, as one of our customers quoted, still collecting a paycheck, right? So the idea behind PaperlessNOW, let's get you up and running. Let's make sure that at least you have some business continuity. And then if it makes sense, we can certainly talk in the future post-apocalypse, right, to get you upgraded and maybe integrated where it's appropriate. So know that this could be, if necessary, a stepping stone, or it could be standalone, a PaperlessNOW solution. And I've got one more. Let me just quickly read it. Question is, and Paul, I'll let you go ahead and answer this one. So this is an application acceptance, review, and processing software.
Great, thanks, Chris. The answer to that is Evolve has the technologies to be able to accept applications and review and process the technology. Our PaperlessNOW solution will focus primarily on the plan review aspects of your jurisdiction and allow you to be up and running on electronic plan review and remove yourself from paper.
Next question, Paul. I'm going to let this one fall in your court once again. What's the typical startup licensing cost for PaperlessNOW?
Yeah, we're happy to share that on a subsequent call. What I'll say to you for this call is that it's a very low upfront cost to you and the jurisdiction. We will table that question, and it's a great question, and we will definitely answer that in a one-on-one session. But the answer to that is it's a very low upfront cost.
Next question, is VPN access required to work from home? I'll answer that one. The short answer is no. This is a cloud-based solution, so no need for VPN access. Do we offer other deployments of this software where a VPN access would be required? Absolutely, that would be an on-premise deployment of our software, not something that we're talking about today. Okay, I don't see any additional questions coming in. Last chance for questions, anybody? Oh, here's one. Do you have an integrated credit card payment solution? How are payments processed by clients for permit applications? Paul, do you want to answer that one? I'm going to read the next one while you do.
Yeah, so we do have some partners that we work with in regards to permit applications. When it comes to PaperlessNOW, though, that would be a process outside of the PaperlessNOW solution today. But we do have some third-party providers that we can get you in touch with for payment processing.
And the one I was going to read was actually a repeat, so I've already answered that one. Anybody else? Last chance. Going once, going twice. Paul, it's all yours, my friend.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for answering those questions on the chat, and thanks everybody for the great questions. If there are no more questions, that concludes today's webinar on PaperlessNOW. Thank you again to Stephanie for sharing the City of Markham's success story, and for everyone who took the time to attend our webinar today. For the folks that signed up, we will follow up with you on an individual level to ensure that we've answered all your questions that you have. We appreciated the time you spent with us today to hear Markham's story. Please reach out to us by going to our website at evolvesoftware.com, or you can email us at the email that's on the screen today. Thank you again for your time today, and stay safe, everyone. That concludes our webinar.